Kalito, Chimichukma, Yakoki, Shata Hatak, Siya. Greetings to you. I am Victor Burning Fire.
Holito Chimichukma Yakoki, Shata Ohoyo, Tinkpa Siya. Greetings to you. I am Nura Sunlight, Aboriginal Indigenous Shata woman. Welcome to part 3 of Decolonization, Indigenous Reconnection to our land, and
this is how we do it.
A plan. As usual, we will be using the animated voice for clarity and better comprehension.
Brothers and sisters, our ancestors were obviously self-sufficient and understood how our living impacted Earth Mother, our clans, tribes, and tribal unions, so they lived in ways to protect, and in ways, for every living thing to live better. Today, this is called sustainable living when our land-based water-based indigenous culture naturally protects our environment. This is why there was no air, water, nor land pollution, and the animals that shared these resources were not forced to flee their habitats before the European colonizers and their greedy, political, industrial, and competitive nation-state ways bombarded our soil. Today, under colonial rule, our minds have been altered so much so through colonization, that a great many indigenous are still being hell-bent on upholding foreign rule by their constitutions, treaties, trusts, etc., that keep them in occupation of the land. Indigenous peoples' capacity to be self-sufficient in a crisis has been almost diminished, where most are dependent on the European state/nation-state which trapped us in oppressed circumstances in the first place, and due to the dependency condition, are unable to meet basic needs of shelter, water, food, and security in case of a prolonged crisis. For that matter, even if there is no crisis. Do you know why our cultures see the earth as mother? Just look at nature, as in a nurturing mother, caring for her newborn child. Just look at nature, as in a nurturing mother, caring for her newborn child. She provides her baby with love, nourishment, comfort, clothing, protection, and shelter from the elements. As mature beings, all we have to do naturally to receive the benefits of Mother Earth, where exists a natural law of abundance, is to take the time and energy to go out and plant, harvest, prepare and eat it, and use the abundance that is naturally provided. But the illness of Mother Earth, and indigenous people of the soil is a foreign European entity that came from other lands, thousands of miles away, and infected Mother Earth and the people with their infectious disease called colonization that has disconnected the natural people of the earthland from our land by force of arms, that over a period of time, has caused the indigenous people to be dependent on the oppressor under their political fiction called the state/nation state. Just look at nature through our own indigenous eyes. We have that same connection as Mother took care of us when we were growing, then as grown young men and women. That connection makes us aware of our obligation in protecting her from foreign European and African colonizers that have no connection to our land, which is why it is so easy for them to exploit and destroy it, and continue their colonial assaults against us. 1. Colonizers can strip lands of its resources that they have no connection to, for profit, and the descendants of these foreigners are still reaping the benefits of their ill-gotten gains to this day, while their foreign government and industries continue to attack the land and people. Also, the colonizers continue to flood the land with oceans of more and more foreign Europeans that add to the overload, excessive demands for the resources they have already stolen, and further displacement of this land's people. Question: why is it that no one on Earth can name the natural resources being stripped from Europe by indigenous people? 2. The indigenous now in urban/city areas cannot survive off the land in the event of the colonizers' collapse because the land has been paved over and polluted. Instead of running free in lush vegetation, flowers, and forest, people run on machines enclosed in gymnasiums for their exercise. 3. Instead of our young people being taught about who they are, in connection to their indigenous homeland, that their land was stolen by foreign Europeans, and niggas running a foreign so-called government on their ancestral land under continued attack by the foreign government and their industries, our young people are increasingly being held in custody of this foreign European colonial system, and have become unaware of their indigenous relationship and inheritance of their homeland. 4. The disconnect is the reason why this sense of privilege that the foreigners in our land still happens today.
He needs to go back to Iraq. Bitch. Muslim piece of bitch. Bitch, yeah, look. You Islamic piece of my country. Go back to your country. Get the out of my country. Here it is.
Okay, now hang on.
Grabbing my arm very
Let her go.
tightly.
She ain't going nowhere now. Look.
Let me go.
Okay.
And
Now-
I'll get the out.
Okay. Step back.
Don't start, Ivy, right
Okay.
now. Okay, it's
Now
so
step out of
good.
it. Okay, now
And you're
step
not getting it because I know I haven't did it.
Okay, step out the car.
Okay.
How many times have I asked you now?
Please, let go of me. What are you doing? Let go of me. Let go of me. Let go of me because I haven't did anything. Let go.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Ma'am,
Give me my
stop resisting.
Give me my phone.
Ma'am,
Give me my phone.
stop resisting.
Y'all are hurting me!
Okay.
Y'all are hurting me! So let me go so I can go home!
I'll let you go.
Okay, dude, let me go so I can go to God!
I'm holding you up.
I don't need you to hold me up! Oh my
Why are you doing this?
Ooh, why are y'all doing this? You started with me!
For nothing.
You came over here with me! What am I being charged with?
We are investigating you trespassing on this property.
But I'm not...
Okay. And you have resisted, delayed, and obstructed our investigation. Okay? And resisted while we were trying to get you out of the car. Okay?
She never was charged. She never was taken to the jail. She was cited on the scene, not charged, but cited by law enforcement for resisting arrest, even though she was not under arrest. How does that work? Remember, she was not trespassing. She was there because she's a property manager for that private property. She was supposed to be there. And he was still allowed to be a cop. Let's put his picture full mass here. Matthew Luckhurst, a Texas cop, who first lost his job in 2016 after giving an unhoused man a feces sandwich. You heard me correctly. He has been fired by a second Texan police department. The San Antonio police indefinitely released this cop for the sandwich incident. He was later hired by the Floresville Police Department. A child with his hands up being shot by Chicago PD. We now have the video. Here it is.
They were the final moments of a foot chase. body camera videos obtained exclusively by CNN show how it ended with the Chicago police officer shooting an unarmed 13-year-old who was running from a stolen vehicle and who lawyers and some witnesses say had his hands up. The 13-year-old's attorneys say the teen was trying to surrender. The officer's attorney says in a split-second decision, he thought the teen's cell phone was a gun.
Jesus Christ, dude.
That was the reaction of the officer next to the shooting officer after shots were fired.
Was anyone hit? Who's hit? Get an ambulance.
Shortly after, two officers grabbed the 13-year-old who had just been shot by his sweatshirt and legs and carried him away from the gas pump where he was laying. The 13-year-old was a passenger in a suspected stolen car. He jumped out and started running. Then, right as he turns and appears to raise his hands, he shot at least one.
He was a kid.
I don't know. Tomahawk? All right, let's go ahead. Okay.
This is a whole damn math teacher, okay? This person is a trained educator. Here's what this trained educator decided to do in her classroom.
Oh man! I just hurt my toe. My toe. My toe.
The students don't really find that amusing. There's a Native American student in there who found it quite offensive. I find it offensive as well. It actually gets worse as it continues.
It does. It was very painful to watch and to listen to this foolery. You know, really take out of context and belittle, actually, Native American or the indigenous culture of Native Americans is beyond shameful, Doc. I know I got to keep it PG, so I'm just going to stay right there, but very painful to watch. I'm glad that that student recorded. I'm sorry that they had to endure that, but I'm glad that it's out in the open and there should be some consequences and repercussions.
Many illegal Mexicans coming here to our country and going to destroy our country.
Ma'am,
Don't
you're
man.
racist.
No, I'm not racist. I'm asking if you're legal.
If I'm legal,
Yeah.
that is
That
crazy.
doesn't make me racist at all.
But this is our town.
No, this is a public beach.
I don't care. I
No,
don't care.
no, I was turning in. No, that wasn't why I beat. Hey, don't get near my kids. Don't do that. Don't.
You know what?
Don't. Get out my face.
Get out of my face.
No, you walked up to me, ma'am. Get out of my face.
Hey,
I am recording. Get out of my face. Get out of my face.
no, what?
Get out. This is not your house. This is not your house.
You weren't getting aggressive talking kind of
No, I'm coming in. I'm pulling in.
A cackle of Karen. This is a new thing. We did not know until today. Once again, we're adding it to our Karenicity handbook here so we can understand Karenism. Karens, at times, will travel in packs, and even when they are not, if one alerts the other Karen will come to their rescue. This is something new. We have been analyzing the creature known as Karen for about a year on Indisputable, and now we have found a new development in the species.
It's exhausting. Again, just trying to live and exist with all of these colonizer Karens, thinking that they own everything and that their property is public property and public property is their property, and thus they get to dictate where you are and what you do. And it's incredibly exhausting. But I definitely give it to the woman who was filming, because if you would have approached my children, we would have had a whole different level of interaction as far as I'm concerned.
We have to resurrect our ancestral values to inform our children that our Earth Mother is not just a resource to be exploited for economic development, as we learned that colonizers' term, economic development really means land theft and plunder of indigenous homelands and resources via extraction industries. We must realize that we are not helpless people and that we must be protectors of our homelands. The extraction industry consists of any operations that remove raw material metals, mineral and aggregates from the earth. Examples of extractive processes include oil and gas extraction, mining, dredging and quarrying. Also, extracting the indigenous off of our own land in multiple ways: incarceration, genocide, deception in getting us to think we are from somewhere else. Remember, in step 1 of This Is How We Do It, 3-part series. We have to know in our spirit that our indigenous identity is the core value that we have with our homeland, which is inherent in knowing who you are, that our indigenousness is interconnected and holds a spiritual, mental, cultural, psychological, linguistic, and emotional relationship to our land. And for those qualities to survive, we must reconnect, maintain the balance, and be in accord with the land as we were before the invasions. Until indigenous people recover our land, languages, and ways of being, there will always be a need to work towards decolonization. Given the overall objective of decolonization, one of the first steps in accomplishing this goal is to inform and instruct our young people about colonization, as it relates to their own lives, so they can begin to transform their thinking. We must assist each other to help facilitate our decolonization process, and instill a sense of empowerment in us all, for the survival of our nations, languages, and cultures of our ancestors and indigenous kinfolk. Therefore, here is a sample, Indigenous Action Plan, to build on. 1. Engage our clans, tribes, all kinfolk to resurrect our inner self spiritual and cultural foundation, in connection with total awareness of self, the land, and all that is natural, other than the external Christian and Muslim dogmas that were forced on us through the Christian and Muslim blood feuds for dominance of the Earth Mother. No more giving to the colonizers' church collection plate, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving Day of Death, Halloween, and fiscal New Year that many think it's the start of the natural New Year. In fact, the colonizers' New Year is the end of their financial year, a legacy left behind by the British. It is a very stressful and crunch time for them, where financial statements must be published reflecting their accounting period of tracking business performance and growth, which is why the colonizers have a need to celebrate their hard work of occupation and control of their commerce. Indigenous brothers and sisters, we have self-help goals for those Federal Reserve notes that are usually given away for these celebrations that have nothing to do with us, but everything to do with our birthright theft. We must recognize how colonialism have distorted our existence and strive to resurrect our traditional knowledge and ways of being. 2. Use the colonizers' Federal Reserve notes and acquire the land. Wherever your location, or whatever your finances, even if you come together in clan groups to all pitch in, at least 500 to 1,000 Federal Reserve notes per group, and get the land together outright, not by mortgage, not by squatting, like the Moors will have people do to get them thrown in their rival colonizer jails. When we use the colonizers' term, purchase, in the names of every last Aborigine in each clan, or tribe, we are not acquiring the land by purchase in the sense of owning it. That is not our culture. We are just getting our land while immediately reclaiming our land at the same time, right now. Our target areas are rural/farming, and forest areas where the land is fertile, and food can be grown, harvested for our own subsistence, and build without the colonizers' permission. This is in preparation of reclaiming our land by occupying it while taking care of it, and restoring our spiritual relationship with the plants and animals that share it with us. At the same time, we are focused, and organizing by way of our ongoing indigenous councils. Picture this. Major problems. Major social, political, and economic problems of the colonial and Roman-born, spiritually void, states/nation states are rapidly increasing all across Earth Mother. State operators have completely plunged into self-made crisis, stretched out, weakened, and out of control because in part, they rely heavily on dying white privilege, materialism, murderous police forces and artificial intelligence. I repeat, artificial intelligence. With that said, we will be ready when the windows open for action alongside multiple organized anti-colonial indigenous populations, in the millions, all across Earth Mother, simultaneously engaged in direct reclamation of our lands. Brothers and sisters, we have already succeeded because our land is an intricate part of our being, our natural land-based water-based spirituality, which is sacred. So, recognize it, and identify with it. Our land. The handful of colonizers cannot deny billions, a full unencumbered access to our sacred lands and water sites. Nor can the handful of colonizers deny billions of our indigenous birthright spiritual ways in life, by attempting to continue the push of diabolic colonizer Christian imperialist dogma down our throats, that deceive people into forgiving and loving them even though they are Earth Mother's enemies that continue to brutalize, murder, and exploit indigenous men, women, children, and Earth Mother. Spirituality is being decolonized, which happens when decolonizing the mind, and the detachment to the dogmatic Roman Bible book, and Roman God concept, that was forcefully missionaried on indigenous peoples. Resurrecting true and natural self-awareness, inner spirituality where, one dogmatic religion shoe, does not fit all. Because for anyone to have a debate about how the great mystery functions, works, operates, or to dictate to all on how creation was formed, is to be far, far away from it. Through observation, inner and outer experiences, the great mystery, the great spirit, Wakanda Tonka, called in some indigenous tongues, the operators of the fictional construct called Africa, or any other fiction on Earth Mother for that matter, cannot claim to be the originator, or owner of it. 3. In the meantime, the indigenous are getting prepared to be as self-sufficient as possible. Again, ongoing organized indigenous Minko councils where Minkos take inventory of skillful kinfolk among the clans and or tribes. Such as, fishermen, hunters, farmers and or gardeners, carpenters, and herbal adepts, etc. All of this is to build our sustainable life raft or lifeboat in the event when the colonizers' so-called civilization completely falls and disappear forever. It is indeed dead. We will be prepared to have a large enough clean land base water base to provide enough harvestable food and healthy living environment for our clan and tribal communities. If anyone thinks that he or she is too proud to work, or they rather listen to others that tell them that there is no need to prepare, then, those people are already defeated. This video is not for them. So, don't waste anyone else's valuable time and energy. Right now, there are videos on YouTube where indigenous people, using traditional knowledge, have built, and are still building complete livable, sustainable, comfortable, and beautiful dwellings, using raw materials found in abundance on Earth Mother. At the same time, we are teaching the young people these life skills for self-sufficiency, which will never be taught in colonizer schools and institutions because it ends our dependency on them. These are the same raw materials the colonizers get for free, and diminish, in massive amounts, for profit, package it, and sell it, at their coast-to-coast hardware stores. Now, for the serious and loyal. If anyone finds themselves without a sufficient land base, or live in a concrete city, connect with your clan to pitch in, and help in some way that is acceptable to the clan or tribe, because people who are under the black boot of the colonizers, and are not self-supportive, the foreign colonial government, that these people call their own, in some form, will be issuing more waves of death sentences to indigenous people. For sure, if these people can't nourish themselves, they'll just starve. Roman curia states/nation states were not formed to care. Just control. 4. Indigenous people must develop a culture of resistance, that encompass all that we have covered in the decolonization videos. We work simultaneously to dismantle existing colonial constructs. There's a difference between simultaneously and unity. Simultaneously means existing or occurring at the same time. Unity means oneness or sameness. With that said, unity is relative, but not necessary for our success. Picture the variety of indigenous clans and tribes of different names, tongues, and different but similar cultures. Our common problem is invader colonizers in occupation and oppressive domination of our lands and peoples. Even though all indigenous peoples are not physically together to cure this disease that extend through whole Earth Mother, we are simultaneously engaged in the same efforts towards its eradication, which is most effective and powerful. Number 5. Arming ourselves for self-defense and defending our homeland. Remember Part 2. We recognize colonizer-implanted informants. Colonizers use our own, or ones that pretend to be us, as their sycophants for indirect control. Stable tribal governance would be pacified by informant submission to the dictates of the colonizers through sycophant minkos, who themselves collaborate with the imperial colonial power in return for favors, money, power, control, etc. We must always discern and block it, at the clan and tribe, having harsh consequences. We never succumb to the lure of materialistic standards. Any new imaginary territorial borders defined by new so-called state/nation states are always, I repeat, always, based upon former European colonial imperialistic powers. Indigenous people have signed petitions, written letters, brought grievances to the colonizer courtrooms up to the colonizer's so-called Supreme Court as defensive measures, have attempted to vote and elect politicians who appeared to be on our side with slogans like, "Yes we can," hoping to shift their colonial government policies to protect our people from incarceration, being murdered by their policy enforcers, to stop the mental and physical devastation. But the atrocities steadily increase while trying to maneuver in the foreign legal system that is not ours, and will always fail us, the indigenous, whose land the colonizers want to keep. As we teach our youth how to manage, maintain, and protect, either before complete decolonization is accomplished, or when it's time to pass on the mantle to them, meaning, pass on responsible authority when we translate to the next form of being, our youth will cherish this knowledge and have determination to reclaim, defend, and sustain our land-based, water-based, indigenous ways of life. Colonizers have conditioned many indigenous minds, like falsely stated in their Willie Lynch letter of perpetual servitude under the colonial state/nation state and its industrial so-called civilization. Well, psychologically and strategically, it is self-defeating and mentally controlled thinking to say the dead colonial culture is permanent, because it's self-evident that these fictional entities are already dismantling themselves. Our serious decolonization commitment in the Western Hemisphere, alongside the billions of Aboriginal indigenous peoples across Earth Mother, just know that we are not alone. The intrusive state/nation state is already stretched and weakened, on rapid decline, as indigenous peoples continue to apply our true identity, and using the colonizers' very own political pressure tactic where these foreign Europeans are forced by weight of their own argument and belief in majority rule, that they themselves termed as democracy. Listen, good people. We, the Aboriginal indigenous brothers and sisters, across Earth Mother, are the majority. Always have been. We rule ourselves. Therefore, we must hold fast to our land-based, water-based spiritual and mental strength, geared towards our traditional cultural mindfulness, and constructive critical thinking. Ever so forcefully and direct, while we simultaneously obtain and reconnect, in order to resurrect. So, in the meantime, we decolonize our minds. Build on our simple decolonization guide, engaging our most imaginable, traditional, cultural mindfulness, and constructive critical thinking, and pitch in, to obtain and reclaim our lands in rural unincorporated areas right now.
want to give thanks to YouTube channel Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey for his video clips on what's still going on with the colonizers, where Dr. Richey acknowledges that the truth is indisputable. And we want to thank YouTube channel Primitive Survival Life, where this indigenous woman's independent construction of a beautifully designed dwelling from raw materials of Earth Mother show just how far off base from nature life is on this land called North America, and just how dependent people are on the nation state like children. Brothers and sisters, Yuka Keyu, liberty, free, not bound. Step 6 of our basic decolonization plan to build on is to follow your innermost senses on staying vigilant, aligning yourself with people of truth, and being courageous. Again, Yuka Keyu, liberty, free, not bound. I love you, Mother Earth.